The royals celebrate Easter in quarantine, but seems like William didn't let that stop his sweet tooth.
He's easy it.
And it seems like Prince Harry is having a difficult time adjusting to life outside the palace walls. Plus, royal commentator and author Robert Jobson helps us break down some of the strangest royal family rules.
She was complaining of feeling isolated and alone and being taken away from her friends. Like with any long-distance relationship, she's now got what she wants. He hasn't really got what he wants.
We've got that plus so much more in today's Royally Us. Hey guys, it's Christina, and that is Carly, senior reporter and royal commentator from HuffPost, and welcome to Royally Us. Carly, how are you?
I'm doing as good as can be. How are you, Christina?
I'm doing good. You know, we're here again.
Yep, keeping calm and carrying on. That's all we can do.
Oh my God. Yes, we have a lot to get to today. The royal news does not stop, so let's kick it off with our royal roundup. So like most of us, the royals spent their Easter in quarantine and self-isolation, but the Queen actually did something that she's never done before, and that is address the nation. Take a listen.
We know that coronavirus will not overcome us. As dark as death can be, particularly for those suffering with grief, light and life are greater.
So Carly, were you surprised by this? Because this is something, like we said, she's never done before.
Right, we've never seen this. In her 68 years of reign, this is her first Easter address. I really did not expect this because she addressed the nation for the fifth time ever just the week before, and now we have another pre-recorded message, but it came at really the right time. She said that coronavirus will not overcome us, and gave a message of hope and light again, which is something that the nation and honestly the world needs in this really, really difficult time.
Yeah, definitely. And it does. It gives people a lot of hope. She didn't appear in the video. It was a pre-recorded message, and some beautiful candles, some beautiful lights. So, but still, the message was still powerful and strong.
It was, and even though it was Easter and she talked about it being a Christian holiday, she also spoke about, the use of candles and the use of light in all religions. And I think it is really important that she acknowledges, while this is a holiday weekend, it's a message really for everyone.
So do we know what the rest of the royal family did to celebrate the holiday?
Well, Kate and William did a phone call with some kids the week before, and they said that, William said that there would be a lot of chocolate at Easter, and Kate kindly pointed out that would only happen if he stopped eating it. So we're really, really hoping that, George, Louis, and Charlotte all got their share.
I hope so. Now, Prince William has been doing his part, and he actually jumped on a call with the charity that delivered hot meals. So he's really doing his part during this whole coronavirus crisis. So take a look at this.
I think Britain is at its best, weirdly, when we're in a crisis. We all pull together, and that community spirit and that community feel comes rushing back quicker than anything else.
I love this. I think this is so great. I feel like the royals have really stepped up during this crisis, don't you think?
They have, and I wouldn't have said that a few weeks ago because honestly, in early March, we talked about Prince William joking at the time about coronavirus when we knew a lot less than we do now, but William and Kate were still visiting people in person. So it is really nice to see all of them by pre-recorded message or FaceTiming or Zooming at home, luckily doing their part to social distance. But yeah, it is really nice to see them, reaching out to smaller charities that are really making a difference in their communities.
I can't imagine getting a call from Prince William and just doing something like this and be like, hey, how's it going?
Right. And one of my favorite parts was he was calling someone and it was a solo call. And in the beginning, he was like, look behind you, your sheep are running wild.
Your sheep and chickens are running amok behind you, so good luck.
And the woman was like, oh my God. Yeah, so it's hard to control. Right, yes, definitely. The sheep are the stars.
Right. Do you feel like they should be doing more or can be doing more? But there's only so much you can do from your home, I guess.
Right, exactly. And it is one of those weird sort of crises, again, that we've never seen before, where unfortunately, in doing something like this, there isn't much that you can do other than give these messages. Personally, I loved when Kate and William posted the video of George, Louis, and Charlotte clapping. So I would love to see more home videos or funny moments, though they'd probably get a lot of slack for not being serious, but any videos of the kids, we'd appreciate.
Definitely. Yes, please bring them on. We want to see more kids. It'll brighten our day. So now, as we know, Prince Charles has been on the mend after he tested positive for the coronavirus, but that didn't stop him from celebrating a big milestone. So this takes us to our royal history moment of the week, because Charles and Camilla, they've been married for 15 years now?
15 years. It doesn't feel like 2005 is that long ago,
No.
which is just a personal problem for me. But yeah, this is a time when there would have been a really big royal celebration because their wedding was actually quite small. So, we knew that they were going to do something big. Unfortunately, quarantine changed their plans, and they posted an Instagram with Camilla's dogs, Bluebell and Beth, and it was very, very cute.
Oh, that's very cute. I for some reason I always thought that they were married so much longer than that, but
Right.
they got married a little later in their lives. After everything that happened, but it's interesting that it's only been 15 years.
It is, because they have been linked together. They were friends in the 70s. So really it does feel like they've been together for decades, for better or for worse, with all the Diana history. But yeah, 15 years seems so short. But yeah, they really had to ease Camilla into the public eye after Diana died.
That definitely couldn't happen quickly. And it's, I don't think a lot of people realize or even remember or know that Queen Elizabeth wasn't at their wedding.
Right. Because the Church of England doesn't recognize a marriage in a church if one of the spouses is still living from a prior relationship, which is a mouthful, right. But Camilla's husband, or ex-husband, I'm sorry, is still alive. So they had a civil ceremony in Windsor and only 28 people attended. The Queen, as you said, did not, which if you're royal or not, it really makes a statement if your mom is not at your wedding. And she attended the blessing afterwards with Phillip. So more of the royals attended then, and it was actually in the same chapel, St. George's Chapel, where Harry and Meghan tied the knot. But it was a really big deal back then. People didn't know if crowds were going to show up and boo the blessing and the relationship. There were only a few boos, but everything turned out okay.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a few times that, over the years, people have really warmed to Camilla. They've kind of, she's really earned the respect of a lot of people.
She has. I think at the time there was like a 34% approval rating in 2005. And now a lot of people would actually support when Charles becomes king, that she would also become queen. So we'll see. I mean, it could be a while before we have to see that decision. But yeah, it's crazy.
It really is. Okay, so let's move on to Harry and Meghan, of course. We have to talk about Harry and Meghan. It wouldn't be a show without them. So as we know that they are in California, but it seems like, this plan could have been kind of brewing for a long time. So let's spill the royalty on everything that has to go on with Harry and Meghan, because there's a lot actually to break down this week. So first off, Carly, what do we know about Harry and Meghan's plans from, maybe even like a year ago?
Right. Well, Jane Goodall has been on a royalty sort of spillage tour. She really has. And both Harry and the Queen acknowledged in statements after their royal step back that this had sort of been in the works for months. And Jane Goodall was able to give a little insight into that because she visited Harry and Meghan last summer and says she was one of the first to hold little Archie, which is so cute. And she said that when she was holding Archie, she taught him how to do a Queen's wave and told Harry, I suppose Archie will have to learn how to do this. And Harry said at the time, no, he's not growing up like that. So knowing what we know now, it seems like he was foreshadowing their eventual royal exit.
Oh, totally. It seems like this has been in the works for quite some time. I mean, you can't do what they did without having a very intense plan in place.
Right. Exactly. It's hard to leave a family. It's hard to leave a business or a job. I can't imagine leaving the royal family. There are just so many moving parts, like we've talked about. Finances, where do you live? Is it a part of the Commonwealth? What is your job going to be within the royal family? So, we do know that there have been months of negotiations, that Harry even years ago said that it's really tough to be in the royal family, and sort of gave us a clue that he wasn't really happy doing that. But yeah, like you said, months, if not years in planning this.
Yeah. Well, in Jane's tell-all, she also revealed that life has been a bit challenging for Harry at this point too, right?
Yes. Jane has been in touch with Harry and said that while she doesn't know what his career will look like going from here, he has found life a bit challenging right now. So that's certainly, whenever you say something like that, that's really going to get a lot of attention.
Oh, 100%. And she also said that Harry has had to give things up for Meghan, and vice versa. She's had to give up a lot for him. She gave up her career. She gave up her life to kind of move over there. Right. But, he's also given things up for her too. I mean, his royal title and his love for hunting.
Exactly. Yes. She was asked if Harry and William are champions of the natural world, and she agreed that yes, they are really big into conservation and things like that. But she said that they do hunt. And they do shoot things. She did say that Harry has alluded to giving up hunting for Meghan because she doesn't like it, and he probably wouldn't do that so far. And like you said, she did give up her career at the time, her country. He's sort of doing that now. So yeah, they've definitely given up a lot for each other. Hunting at this moment is probably the least of their worries.
100%. So as we know, Harry also removed his surname, correct?
Yeah, there have been a lot of reports that when he was registering for his new Travelist travel agency, that he dropped his name. I mean, Prince Harry has about 8 names, and he included his Duke of Sussex title. And people were, speculating why he dropped the Mountbatten Windsor. But seeing as he gave Archie the last name Mountbatten Windsor, it's not intentional, and that he's losing his last name. It's more that probably only 8 of his names fit, and he had to choose which title to use.
It's like you can never fill out like a form correctly because you never have there's never enough space for him.
Right, exactly. And they're not using the His or Her Royal Highness right now. So at least they've dropped, three more words, but we'll see. Yeah, so for right now, it's not as crazy as we think it is.
Oh, 100%. So this news comes on the heels of Princess Anne doing a big interview with Vanity Fair. I think it was interesting. I think a couple weeks ago we were like, we don't really talk about Princess Anne that much. And then all of a sudden, here she is, Vanity Fair. And she did have some insightful things. She didn't mention Harry and Meghan directly, but it does seem like she wasn't probably too happy that they kind of left the royal family.
Yeah, she referenced younger royals, and she's been in the royal spotlight for so long, and she talked about that. So her message to younger royals was sort of like, whenever they say, let's do this, let's reinvent the wheel, let's try something new, she dismissed it and said, no, we've already done that. We've already tried that. It's time to return to basics. So obviously, given what we know about Harry and Meghan and them stepping back, it does seem like she was alluding to those sort of young royals who, want to try and do things differently.
Right. Which is interesting because she said that she didn't give her kids any royal titles.
Right. She didn't. And Harry and Meghan made the decision not to give Archie royal titles either because, like she said in the Vanity Fair interview, it is really hard when you grow up with titles and that puts you even more in the royal spotlight. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting that she seemingly alluded to them a lot because there aren't any other younger royals who are really, stepping out of the spotlight right now. Mm-hmm. But I think with her popularity on The Crown, people have come to love Princess Anne. So it's really nice that she's getting her moment right now.
It really is. And it was so funny. It was so interesting. The actress that played Princess Anne in The Crown, looks just like her when she was younger. It's crazy.
The mannerisms, how she speaks, everything. And one thing that I hate that The Crown didn't cover is Princess Anne was actually a part of a kidnapping plot at one point. And
yes.
Totally unfazed her. Someone was trying to kidnap her and she basically was like, good try. And then, he was tackled and it was fine. But that's exactly what you'd expect from Princess Anne. So
right.
Maybe we'll get an outtake of that one day.
Maybe, I hope so. All right, now it is time to break down the royal rules. And to help us do that is royal expert and author of the new book, Royal Family Operations Manual, Robert Jobson. I want to get your opinion on some royal news that's been going on. Obviously, the big talk of the past several months is Harry and Meghan. I mean, what do you make of them moving to California? Do you think that they're going to be back in the royal family, or do you think that they've officially made their royal exit?
Well, funny enough, in early December, I gave an interview to a podcast, and then it was picked up by a lot of papers afterwards and online, where I said after Prince Andrew was effectively retired from the royal family, that I thought it would lead to Harry and Meghan thinking that this is not necessarily the way they want to do it, to move to the West Coast and to sort of be part-time royals and find their own role. And, I didn't have a psychic or I didn't have a crystal ball or a psychic sort of, moment. That's what I said. And it was quoted a lot of places. And this is exactly what happened. And in a way, one can't, a lot of people got hysterical about this, but I was on the tour of Africa with them, and they've been clearly very unhappy in the way they perceive that the media or everyone's being treating them, the British media in particular, which I don't think is necessarily true, the way they've felt that way. But obviously it doesn't matter what I think or what the other media think or any else. It only matters what they think and what their perception is. And clearly Meghan was quite unhappy, maybe felt lonely and isolated. But the only thing I would say is, by going back to the other side, to Hollywood now and California and to Canada earlier, was I understand the move, but she was complaining of feeling isolated and alone and being taken away from her friends. Like with any long distance relationship, she's now got what she wants. He hasn't really got what he wants. You know, he's lost his status, he's lost his military position, he's lost his friends. Not lost them, but they're on the other side of the world. Particularly his military links. I think it's quite sad actually for him. And the only thing I would say is that she sort of did know what she was taking on, even a little bit. She must have known that it was going to be a different type of role to what she'd been doing before. And if she didn't think she could hack that, then it was a big gamble. Not, you know, the word should have been no, not yes, when he proposed to her, because she took it all on and did a brilliant job. I mean, there was a lot of positivity, and in terms of diversity and her ethnicity, that really wasn't even an issue. I don't know where they're getting that whole business from. In fact, there was a lot of positive press about that. Yeah, there were the occasional, you know, slightly racist comments from some chippy English columnists. But you've got to remember that the way they're writing about things is different. They have none of the history that America has with all of the civil rights protests and the civil rights movement and that they wouldn't necessarily felt that what they were saying was in any way racist. And so that I think that she probably went too early. I think that if they said that and had the baby, give herself a bit more time to recover from that traumatic experience, and then ask for a bit more time to be a bit more fluid in the role they had, I don't think the Queen or Prince Charles or anybody would have objected. I think the way things were done, almost holding a gun to their head, wasn't very well done at all, and it added to a sort of a situation where I think people then began to sort of say, are you with them or against them? And now we've had the situation with, we had Brexit, then we had Mexit, as they called it, and now we've had the coronavirus crisis, and they seem so detached now from the monarchy. You know, when the Queen made a speech here in England, in Great Britain, it was quite a powerful moment. And they almost seem irrelevant now, whereas before they were the #1 show in town, even when they came back. So I believe it's a shame, because both of them had a lot to offer, were offering a lot, and I do fear that, like with any long distance relationship, to take them one party completely out of his world or her world, as happened with Meghan initially, is always going to be difficult.
Definitely.
Yeah, and they did talk about, their next nonprofit organization and calling it Archwell. And once coronavirus sort of settles, whenever that will be.
The timing on that announcement over here looked awful. I mean, I know that you're suffering terribly in America at the moment with coronavirus, as the whole world is, it seems. But the timing of all that, and of naming their Archwell, coming out on just days after the Queen had made a very important dress, it sort of just didn't wash with the public, and it almost, and it got some criticism when it really didn't necessarily deserve any criticism, because what is it? It's a organisation to do good. Well, but they do seem a little detached now, and I think in time things will change. I think it was the fact that there was a lot of people felt that there was a gun being held to the Queen's head, metaphorically, in fact, and to mine, because I was remembering the book was going to press, and I was having to change the entries every 5 minutes on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. But it was, it's a dramatic moment. But everyone was talking about it being almost like the abdication of the King in 1936. She's the new Wallis Simpson, all a bit dramatic, because the reality is they're quite a long way down in terms of the line of succession, which is referred to obviously in the book, exactly how it works. they're never going to be the king and queen, so it has no real constitutional implications whatsoever. So in terms of the seriousness to the monarchy, really wasn't that important. In terms of to the image and the brand of the royal family, well, I don't think it came across very well at all.
Do you think that the damage has been done? Do you think that they'll be welcomed back to the royal family if they decide within this year that they want to return?
Yeah, no, I don't think that I personally, number one, I don't think that will happen. But I think that there's always a way back. I mean, Harry is an extremely popular person. I think Meghan was certainly very popular too. But the thing, if you were saying, number one, blame the media because the media has sort of hounded you out of town, didn't really wash with anybody at all, because I'm talking about the general public. They just sort of said, that's not true. When they then went to Vancouver and posed up for photographs, and there was the issue of his bodyguards again. Did it really wash that they were going there because they wanted their privacy? But then they moved to one of the most, public places on earth, Hollywood, Los Angeles, where, there's going to be an issue with paparazzi and publicity as well as there is anywhere else. It's sort of, it doesn't really add up that they were going there to get more privacy. Well, of course, that wasn't the truth. And I think ultimately they were going there because they wanted to make money. And there is a problem in clashing the system of monarchy where they are extremely wealthy people. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's referred to in the book. But then to say you're doing it for one thing and the first job you do is to go and talk to a bank about your dead mother doesn't really make $1 million out of it or more or what it was. It then created a backlash, and I felt in a way that they should have handled that differently too. They should have probably, the first things they should have been doing is not making money for themselves personally, but doing their charity work, which is what they said they were there going to be doing.
Congratulations all about your new book. Tell us all about it.
I've written a number of books. I mean, the first book I did was Die in a Closely Guarded Secret, which was a number one bestseller with Ken Wolfe, and I've recently did a biography of Charles. But this was a sort of book that, when you go to a dinner party or people, whenever I go, they find out you're a journalist and you cover a particular area, like showbiz or whatever. They want to know all the details, and you end up telling everybody all the details of what. And I just thought it was quite a good way of all the questions. This is the book itself. Of all the questions that you wanted them to know, all the different things you want to know about the royal family, it's all in there.
And what are some of your favorite takeaways from the book, or sort of fun facts that you would share at a dinner party?
Well, all the way through the book, there are loads of little. What I decided to do was to have in there loads of little breakouts as like did you know or fun facts, and so there's little ones you go through them with an American audience, like did you know the Duchess of Windsor, who was never awarded the title of Her Royal Highness, is buried beside Edward VIII in Frogmore Royal Burial besides Queen Victoria's mausoleum? Or did you know that Queen Victoria was an accomplished linguist? She spoke fluent English, German, and also studied French, Italian, and Hindustani. So there's still all the way through the book, I've broken out little facts, as well as giving you details in precision about all the good things about the royal family itself. I mean, there's one here. Did you know Prince Edward, who's the Queen's fourth child, was once offered the chance to be King of Estonia in 1994 as communism changed and fell, the Soviet Union fell. The Monarchist League there wanted to bring him back and make him king. So there are all sorts of little facts that people wouldn't really know, and as well as facts that are more historically linked.
And then I feel like people love reading articles about royals breaking royal protocol and things like that. What is some of the most unusual protocol that the royal family has to follow?
Well, protocol is I think that a lot of Americans probably get a bit hung up on protocol, but I mean, it's usually they're not so strict as one would think. When we talk about how do you address the Queen, how do you speak to the Queen? Well, you say Your Majesty for the Queen because she's Her Majesty the Queen. A lot of people get that wrong and call her Your Royal Highness. Her Majesty the Queen, and so the first instance you call her Your Majesty, and then if you address her after that, it's ma'am, as in spam, or not ma'am, but ma'am, and with the Prince of Wales, it's Your Royal Highness in the first instance, and after that, Sir. But and you bow and you curtsy, but they don't really get hung up on protocol as a lot of people think. So,
Robert, thank you so much for all of your insight, and can't wait to pick up the book. Everybody go out and get it. Royal Family Operations Manual. Robert, thank you so much. Stay healthy, stay happy, and we hope to talk to you soon. So before we wrap up, we have to check in on our royal kiddos in Pint-Sized Palace. Now this week it's all about William and Kate giving back. Take a look.
I'm Catherine and this is William next to me. And are you holding out pictures of your mummies and daddies?
This is a picture of my mum, and she works for the NHS as an admin for the health visitors, and I'm really proud of her.
Oh.
Yeah, well done you. Can you hold it up a bit to your left so we can see it? That's it, brilliant. Look at that, that's a great picture.
Photo.
Well done.
Well done, it's brilliant.
So we briefly talked about this video earlier, but this is just so cute that they really took the time to give back to these kids who are children of healthcare workers, right?
Right, it is so cute. And at the time, the kids and some of the teachers had on bunny ears for Easter. And these kids, their parents are essential workers, so they're, obviously not able to be with them right now, and it's a really tough time. But the kids all drew portraits of their parents and showed them off to Kate and William.
I love it. I love when they were like, hi, I'm Kate, I'm William. Like, these kids don't know who they are.
Yeah, and like you said, it would just be so weird to see them on a computer screen or on a phone. And I wonder if the kids really understood the magnitude of it, if they were nervous, or if I was a teacher, I would be in the back like, does my hair look all right?
Yeah.
But one of my favorite moments was one of the little kids was showing off a drawing, and Prince William said, "Oh, is that a handbag?" And one of the little kids was like, "No, it's an Easter basket."
Is that a little handbag?
No.
What's that?
It's an Easter bag.
Oh, it's an Easter bag, sorry. It looked like a little handbag.
Which was a very cute moment, in addition to the William is eating all the chocolate in the castle.
Oh, totally. I mean, there was, there was so many funny moments on the call, and it just, like we said, they're doing their part, they're trying their best, and, giving back in the ways that they feel that they can.
Definitely. They really are. And hopefully more videos to come, because I need to see these moments. I need to see more sheep in the background of videos. There's a lot. I have very high standards going forward.
Yes, totally. Well, Carly, thank you so much as always.
Thank you. So good to see you. Can't wait for next week.
Yes, totally. And I'm sure there will be plenty of more royal news for us to break down. But in the meantime, head on over to usmagazine.com for all of your royal news and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.